Hey everybody, another random live video late at night. Actually, I haven't done a video on this page in a while, a couple weeks, um, aside from my team shoutouts, I guess. But if you watched, well, one, if you saw my post this morning on my fitness page and watched my HMF Live episode last night, um, this video might make more sense to you. But you can. I appreciate you watching anyway. So. Today started out feeling not so great. Just I've been kind of in a funk lately for probably a good month and a half. Some of that has been from just some emotional stress kind of going on, sort of spilling over into pretty much all the other aspects of my life. Like I haven't been as I've been making myself work out because that does usually help me feel better, at least temporarily. But like my nutrition has suffered, my mindset has suffered, even like getting up in the morning to work out or to go to work even has kind of suffered. Hey, there's a few people on here. Hi, everybody. And so, especially the nutrition part really takes its toll when I let that kind of build up because if you it's the weather. I'm going through that funk moods. That could be part of it. I will say I usually am pretty sad when summer ends. And I do like fall, but I do have to kind of mourn summer when that ends. So that very well could be part of it. But like I said, if you watched my HMF live video last night, I kind of talked to you guys a little bit about some of the stuff going on here at the house. Really between Gary and I. And I'm not going to go necessarily into a bunch of detail about that because we're not really at that point yet. But needless to say, you anybody who's in a long-term relationship or has been married long enough, you're going to have your ups and downs. And so Gary and I are working on coming up out of a down. But that down really kind of, I think it beat both of us up. So, but anyway, so to make that long story short, kind of came to a head this morning. Like I just woke up and felt like crap. Like I didn't sleep very well, and I haven't been sleeping very well for a few weeks. Just not insomnia, but not very sound sleep, and just felt bloated and just you get those feelings where you just kind of like physically you just feel bleh, heavy and bloated and gross, and so that's kind of where I've been there. Mentally been in a funk too, and so. Gary and I are working to repair certain things in our relationship that have kind of taken place over the last, while, really. And so a few things have kind of been going on to help us there. Like one of the things is that we are doing Financial Peace University, which is a Dave Ramsey class. Essentially, we're doing it online. And I will say Gary was sort of kicking and screaming to do it, but he promised me that he would. So he has been, and he's been 100% doing it with me. So it's created some or prompted some really interesting conversations and I think some real aha moments for both of us, and so that's been really positive. It's created some heated discussions, but it's created some we've been able to communicate to each other effectively, and that hasn't always been the case when it comes to money, which I'm sure is the case for lots of people. It's a very touchy subject. And so that's one thing that's been kind of a positive thing lately. And this particular week's lesson on budgeting, I think this was budgeting this week, really kind of struck home with him in some certain ways. But the reason that I said Nelson Mandela spoke to me today, so kind of a lot of things coming to a head for me this morning, feeling like crap. Gary coming to some realizations about our family and finances. And then I was listening to a podcast today, and I was kind of surprised that this is the one that spoke to me the most. It was 5 ways kids can teach you about your health and fitness by the Model Health Show, which I strongly recommend if you're looking for podcasts on health, but especially that episode. And one of the tips in there he brought up was about resentment. Like kids, they have a problem and they kind of let it go pretty quickly. And adults, we've forgotten how to do that. And so a quote I've heard many times, but for whatever reason, the quote from Nelson Mandela today really struck home with me. And it was, he had said, holding on to resentment is like trying to drink poison hoping that your enemy is going to die. Like, what sense does that make? And so I realized that I had been holding on to some resentments towards Gary. Not that I resented him as a person, but some of the things that he had done, or I felt he had done against me, or whatever. But anyway, so I realized that part of the reason that I've had such a hard time with, like, just mentally feeling better about us healing and growing and stuff is that I'm still holding on to some of this crap, and it's not fair to him, and it's certainly not fair to me. And so when that hit me today, like, I felt like the universe was just kind of bombarding me with all of these messages about healing and, like, forgiving and all these different things. It was just timed out right. What is the Dave Ramsey thing called? The Dave Ramsey class that we're doing is called Financial Peace University. And we're doing their first kind of, their first attempt at an online class. We're kind of the pilot group, I guess. But it is a class that you can also do in person. You meet once a week. It's a 9-week class. And you go over, you get different tools and stuff, and it's kind of like a support or a challenge group for personal finance. But it's been pretty awesome, even doing the online version, which really works well for our schedule. So, do we listen to the radio, or is it a podcast? If you're talking about Dave Ramsey, he's both on the radio and it's a podcast, so I listen to that as a podcast. But as far as the Model Health Show goes, that is a podcast. And I think they've got both, they stream them on YouTube Live and stuff like that, but I take all this stuff in through podcasts because it's just easy for me to listen as I drive, or, if I'm getting ready in the mornings, that kind of stuff. So, but anyway, so the Nelson Mandela quote, like, really struck home with me because I realized I was holding on to all this stuff, and a lot of stuff that I've been holding on to for a really long time. And I told this to Gary on my lunch break, oddly enough. I've been holding on to all of this, like, resentment, I guess, or discontent, I think was actually the word I used. All this discontent and negative feelings, and kind of like really getting mad and angry at him and being bitter towards him, kind of hoping that would be punishment enough for him to change whatever behavior or actions I wanted him to change. And, well, one, saying it out loud, that's stupid, right? Oh, thanks, Amy. Honestly, I will say that I do far more personal development than Gary does. He's not as really into that, but he kind of gets some things by default because I always share stuff with him. So I did drag him into the Dave Ramsey thing. That's about as close to personal development really as he's getting, but hey, baby steps. So, I have learned, though, that just like you train your body, you have to continue to train your mind. And for me, I do that in the form of all podcasts, personal development books, motivational videos, that sort of thing. And it helps. It really, really does. I still have resentment against you. You know what, Mom, though? I completely understand that. And that's a totally different scenario, and is pretty fresh, too. Without going in all the details of what you're going through. But I would say that over time, let me get to my point, and then this might maybe ring home for you too, Mom. Thanks, Amy. I appreciate it. So anyway, so I told Gary this, and it's stupid to say, like, I'm holding all this crap, and I'm treating you like crap, and I'm hoping that'll make you change your ways. Like, really? Does that work for anybody? So I finally told him today, like, I need to say this and you need to hear it. Because he was also feeling like he was having some thoughts from the Dave Ramsey stuff. And I just said, he came to a lot of realizations about some of the things that he'd been spending and stuff. And he apologized for that, which I truly appreciated. And so I told him, like, you need to hear this and I need to say this, but I forgive you. Like, I forgive you for all of that stuff that I've been harboring, for all the stuff that you are apologizing for, and like, you need to know that I forgive you, and that's really the only way that we're going to start moving forward. And I also, honestly, I need to forgive myself for sort of enabling some of that behavior, because I would enable it and then I would beat him over the head with whatever it was that he did, and that's not fair to either one of us. So for such a short conversation over my lunch break today, like, oh man, it was an amazing conversation. And it was just an amazing moment, like probably one of the more important and defining moments, I think. I don't know if he would agree, but for me, in our marriage, and we've been married for 12 years now. And so to be able to like forgive for a lot of stuff that has built up over the years, and for him to realize it on his own and apologize for some of those things, and for me to apologize for some of those things, like, man, that was huge today. Like, and I told him tonight before he left for work, like, I'm feeling so much better this afternoon after we had that conversation. And he was too. He felt the same way. Like, just, God, just a sense of like a huge weight, you know, like I realized that I was feeling so crappy, not just because of all the physical stuff, not eating well, that kind of stuff, but because of all the mental weight. Man, just like saying, you know what, I gotta let this shit go. Like, for both of us, like, I forgive you for this stuff. I'm gonna start working on forgiving me for my part. And now he's got to work on forgiving himself, which is even harder for, you know, if you're trying to forgive yourself for something, that's hard to do. And, so it's just, that's what it was. The Nelson Mandela quote, like, why am I holding on to resentment, hoping that Gary's going to change? Like, boom, like it really just hit me today. And honestly, this is probably the most optimistic or hopeful I think I've probably been about where Gary and I are with things. And you know, and then this might come as a shock to some of you. Sorry, that was my computer. This might come as some of a shock to you because, you know, not that we're putting on a front, you know, because for the most part, Gary and I are happy, but we are not without our issues. But we're not one of those couples who airs all of our dirty laundry on social media. Like, some things went down that only very few people actually know. And I mean, until we're both ready to kind of share more of that together, because it's our story, not just mine, we probably really won't. You know, we'll just let you know that we are always a work in progress. Any marriage goes through its struggles, and we are not the type to just walk away because shit gets hard. It's always hard, you know. But we have great moments, and we have not so great moments, and so we're working through some of those not so great moments. But so anyway, Mom, to kind of circle back to you, you know, I completely understand why you still have resentment. 30 years in is a lot different than 12 years in. But I will say that at some point, whenever that feels right for you, really, you'll have to forgive him, not because he deserves it, but because you deserve that peace. And so that's going to be a little different than Gary and I working through this together. But for you, it'll come because you need to give yourself that peace. And it takes up a lot of mental and emotional energy to hold on to a lot of that stuff. But also for you, because things are so new, it's really going to be time processing. You've got a lot of emotions and stuff to sort of deal with. So that's kind of what I mean about that. But it ain't easy. Being in relationships are not easy. Going through life isn't always easy. But if you're willing to make the life the best that you can, then it's worth going through some of that crap to get through the other side. So anyway, I had my day turned into such an amazing kind of day and moment, really, with Gary, that I had to share some of it because I'm pretty elated about it. And I think he is too. I think we're both feeling a little bit better. So onwards and upwards from here. We're only in week 3 of Financial Peace University, and so honestly, I can't wait to see. And he's already like, we're going to do this starting in November and this and that. And like, I've never had him so fully participated in like our finances and stuff like that. So even though we do the videos or whatnot, we're going through a lot of stuff together now, which is amazing because, you know, strength in numbers, right? So anyway, I appreciate you guys tuning in so late on a school work night and you know, interacting and stuff. Anyway, so if any of this helps others, I hope it does. Sometimes it's just I do these videos because it's a little therapeutic for me. So anyway, all right, I hope you guys have an awesome night and enjoy the rest of your week. And oh yeah, happy October if I haven't said that yet. So all right, bye.